Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And what text around 16? We're reading First Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 18th chapter, text 16. Sa Vai Maha Bhagavata Parishkit Yeno Pavargatyam Adapra Buddhi Janena Rayasaki Savditena Vijay Kagendra Praja Pada Mulam Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit Yena Pavargatyam Yam Abrata Puti Yanena Vaisya Saki Savtitena Viche Gajendra Dvachapada Mulam Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit Yena Parvakyam Ataprabhudi Yanena Vayasaki Sabatena Beje Gajendra Tvacha Padamulam Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit Yena Parvakyam Ataprabhudi Yanena Vashaki Saptatena Beje Gajendra Dvachapada Mulam
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi
Yena Pavakyam Yapata Puri
Yanena Vayasaki Shabditena
Yanena Vayasaki Saptatena
Vijay Kagendra Dvajapadamulam
Vajeka Chandra Vajapadamulam
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Yena Pavaragatam Adabra Buddhi
Yena Pavakyam Matapra Puri
Gunanina Vaya Shakti Sabatena
Jnanena Vasya Shakti Saptatena
Vijay Kadindra Dava Paramulam
Vajeka Chandra Vajapadamulam
Savai Bhagavata Parikshit
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi
Yena Pavakyam Matapra Puri
Yanena Vayasaki Sabditena
Jnanena Vayasaki Saptatena
Vijeka Jendra Dvajapadamulam
Vijeka Chandra Vajapadamulam
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi
Yena Pavakyam Matapra Puri
Yanena Vayasaki Sabditena
Jnanena Vayasaki Saptatena
Vijeka Jendra Dvajapadamulam
Vijeka Chandra Vajapadamulam
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi
Yena Pavakyam Matapra Puri
Jnanena Vayasaki Shabditena
Jnanena Vayasaki Saptatena
Vijeka Jendra Dvajapadamulam
Vajeka Chandra Vajapadamulam So is that everyone's going to chant, or is my wife's going to chant? Or anyone online going to chant? Or does anyone online like to chant? Okay, great. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Sutta Goswami, please describe those topics of the Lord by which Maharaj Pushkit, whose intelligence was fixed on liberation, attained the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of Garuda, the king of birds. Those topics were vibrated by the son of Vyas, Srila Sukadev. Report. There is some controversy amongst the students on the path of liberation. Such transcendental students are known as impersonalists and devotees of the Lord. The devotee of the Lord worships the transcendental form of the Lord, whereas the impersonalist meditates upon the glaring effulgence or the bodily rays of the Lord, known as the Brahma Jyoti. Here in this verse, it is said that Maharaj Pushkit attained the lotus feet of the Lord by instructions in knowledge delivered by the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev Goswami was also an impersonalist in the beginning, as he himself has admitted in the Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 9. But later on, he was attracted by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, and thus became a devotee. Such devotees with perfect knowledge are called Mahabhagavatas, or first-class devotees. There are three classes of devotees, namely the Prakita, Madhyam, and Mahabhagavat. The Prakrita, or third-class devotees, are temple worshippers without specific knowledge of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. The Madhyam, or the second-class devotee, knows well the Lord's devotees, the neophytes, and the non-devotees also. But the Mahabhagavata, or the first-class devotee, sees everything in relation with the Lord, and the Lord present in everyone's relation. The Mahabhagavata, therefore, does not make any distinction, particularly between a devotee and non-devotee. Maharaj Perskit was such a Mahabhagavata devotee because he was initiated by a Mahabhagavata devotee, Sukadeva Goswami. He was equally kind, even to the personality of Kali, and what to speak of others. So there are so many instances in the transcendental histories of the world of an impersonalist who has later become a devotee. But a devotee has never become an impersonalist. This very fact proves that on the transcendental steps, the step occupied by a devotee is higher than the step occupied by an impersonalist. It is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 12, Text 5, that persons stuck on the personal step undergo more suffering than achievement of reality. Therefore, knowledge imparted by Sukadeva Goswami upon Maharaj Perskit helped him attain the service of the Lord. And this stage of perfection is called Apavarga, or the perfect stage of liberation. Simple knowledge of liberation and material knowledge. Actual freedom from material bondage is called liberation. But attainment of the transcendental service of the Lord is called the perfect stage of liberation. Such a stage is attained by knowledge and renunciation, that we have already explained, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 12, and perfect knowledge as delivered by Srila Sukadeva Goswami results in the attainment of the transcendental service of the Lord. So it's explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that Sukha means parrot, so Sukadeva Goswami, he speaks the Srimad Bhagavatam, so it's compared that just as a parrot touches with its beak the mango becomes more sweeter. So Srimad Bhagavatam becomes more relishable because it was spoken by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. So, yes, there's some really nice points here that Srila Sukadeva Goswami admitted that in the beginning he was a personalist, but he was attracted to the transcendental service of the Lord. So that's very instructive right there. But what Prabhupada says that a devotee, he doesn't become an impersonalist. So then there's the stage of liberation, moksha. So that's perfect. And that's the perfected stage. But then the transcendental loving service of the Lord is the perfected stage of liberation, like that. So that's explained really nicely. So there are a lot of speaking here in these last verses, how one should hear the topics of Godhead, and they're all attained this Namasaranya to attend there to listen in length the topics of Godhead. So they're hearing about a number of incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and their devotees. And so this is pretty much like the setting up the history of the prelude to Srimad Bhagavatam, what we're about to be reading. In Canto 2, there's the cause of all causes and the process of creation. We'll be reading about that. And how Brahma, he tries to investigate where he's situated when Brahma is born in the process of creation. So that's compared to the scientists, the philosophers, how even with sophisticated equipment, theorizing, making some theories, well, perhaps, maybe, like that, and they're trying to look out into space or look into the atom. But then the Prabhupada was saying, what do you say? What can you see? Your senses are imperfect, and whatever you see is imperfect. Everything is all from the wrong, the issues, the senses, or the material body. The material body consisted of the material senses. They're imperfect and limited. So everything that you theorize, everything that you come up and see is imperfect and liberated. But the whole conception is the wrong conception that when it's identifying with the material body is the self. But without accepting knowledge, real knowledge, without accepting devotional service, as we're part and parcel of Krishna, so that's our natural inclination. But without this information, it just seems to be evolution, or it's progress, right? We're becoming technologically advanced. So they're trying to make it appear and give the information that this is the greatest society ever. We've got rockets going to space, right? And everything is completely, totally limited, right? Now, how long can they stay in space for? And then even then, we were talking about that, about water. So in the space shuttle, they've got to recycle their water. So I guess they filter it back a couple of times. Because there's something that's called, water reclamation. You kind of know what this is. You kind of know what I'm kind of talking about. They, Gornitai Kijai, they take water that you pass, or you pass your water, and try to purify that. So that's the process. That's their way of survival. That's their supply. So they're filtering this, and so whatever else supplies they have. They're scientists. So there's these are experimentation. And by what they know. So, but what they really know, they really don't know an awful lot. That we're not the material body. That we're the spiritual soul. And that to our actual real purpose and inclination is to surrender and to serve the Supreme Whole, is the Krishna consciousness. And this is the easy process. One can be happy. It's joyfully performed, right? Not dry speculation or artificial, unauthorized fasting. Or they try to practice brahmacharya and control their senses by, not by devotional service, but they try to control their senses by artificial means and methods. Like that, Prabhupada's talking about some nose pressing, some gymnastics, yoga gymnastics, some intellectual pursuits, exercises, some word jugglery, some nonsense. But in the actual real natural stage, so we're in the city, so we're like a city brahmachari temple here. But we grew some flowers and we had the garden, right? So like on the farm where they have a cow, and they have the agriculture. So this is the way that society is actually really arranged in the villages, the agriculture, and then what they did, they bartered whatever their goods were. They had handmade goods, or if they had milk, yogurt, butter, if they have, fruits, or they have vegetables, grains. So what they do, they barter for what they have for all the other things, like for some grains and vegetables and fruits and, whatever they have for the milk. Or if they're making things out of cotton, if they're making clothes like that, cloth and clothes. So then everybody has everything they need, right? Everything's distributed because they bartered and traded, for their commodities. So that's the natural process in Krishna consciousness. And then the Krishna temple is the whole focus in the center and the deity. So everyone is Krishna conscious. Rise early in the morning, begin chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, attend Mangal Artik, take Krishna Prasadam, engage in your devotional service throughout the days, and like that, whatever your service is. Here we have book distributors. They go out. Is that where everyone is right now? Did you go out on book distribution or something? It's just plain old. And then, so what else? Yeah, then tend to fields, go shovel snow. There's a little bit of snow out here today, so that was nice. Not a whole lot, just a little here and there. And but yeah, we can shovel snow for Krishna. And that's the perfected stage of liberation, actually. So then there's liberation and there's moksha. And then there's the perfected stage of liberation that Prabhupada's talking about. So what was he saying here? Aparvaga. Let's see. There's parvaga and aparvaga. So the stage of perfection, aparvaga, the perfect stage. And then what? Parvaga. There was like pa, va, ba. There's like these syllables, foam in the mouth, the working hard, right? The material propensities, pavarga. So liberation, the perfect stage of liberation, apavarga, as opposed to material activities, pavarga, working hard, sweat on the brow. We were memorizing what those syllables were as ba, pa, pa, like that. It was nice. Prabhupada lecture, he's talking about that. And then there's, Prabhupada was talking about how Krishna is, let's see, well, there's nirguna and guna. Let's see, nirvisesha. So Krishna is visesha, not nirvisesha. So nirvisesha, impersonal avoidance. So he says Krishna is vesha. As explained in Brahma Samhita, that all of the senses can perform all the functions of all the senses, that is not limited. Ishopanishad states that he overcomes all others running, he's swifter than the mind. Everything that emanates from the supreme whole is also complete in itself, as complete wholes. So like that. So we have our independence, minute independence. Actually, everyone is, what Krishna says, everyone is, follows his path in all respects, even when one's in Krishna's Maya. When one's in Krishna's Maya and he's at identification with the body, apparently it's, this is, everyone follows my path in all respects. So even though being in Maya and committing sinful activities and the natural physics of thing, I mean, if you're just to kick out transmigration, if you just kick out sinful activities, you know, there's adverse effects to specific karmic reactions. I mean, this is just physics. I mean, just kick out all that theology stuff. The point of the fact of the matter is you act in a certain way, then your future destination, your next stage is going to be on a specific platform. That's just simply natural, right? What Einstein said that a body in motion will remain in motion until it depended upon some opposite and equal force. Right? But it doesn't stop. It just changes directions, right? So in Krishna consciousness, we've made a complete 180-degree turn roundabout, right? And headed towards, in fact, not only is a 180-degree turnaround, but it's something that is transcendental. It transcends even the material estimations of what would be considered as pious results of your karma, right? That we're even transcending that. You know, we're not interested in heavenly planets or liberation to the Brahmanda. Oh, in fact, it says that a devotee doesn't give a fig about the bliss by realization of Brahmananda, which is considered to be hellish to a devotee, like that. So apparently there's some sort of happiness in Brahmananda, but Prabhupada was talking about this. He was saying that he was out in the Jaladuta, he was on the ship many, many months, And it's not our natural position when you're on a boat on the sea for a long time, or you're in the plane, you're in the air, or like the scientists, they're in their, what is it, their space station or their reclamation, right? Trying to survive the scientific method, right? Their austerities, for material purposes. But one doesn't get any shelter in Brahman. So just like you're on the boat, so they were very, very happy when they saw land. Or the person's in the plane, you're very, very happy when you finally, you come down from the air, there's no activity there, no activity on the ocean, and no activity in the air until you get down to the land, right? And then you can stretch your legs, finally step on land again after being on water for so long. Like that. So that's our natural position. It's like the fish out of water. The fish isn't happy out of the water. The fish can't live out of the water. It's aquatic. He's got to be in his proper environment. So the Brahmananda is like that. But not only then, but it's also a temporary position. Is that one's desire seeds will also become manifested and fructified within their heart. So the Brahmananda yogi, the impersonalists, they'll again take birth on the material platform. Even then, if they're yogis and they're on Brahman platform, but then all of a sudden now they're opening hospitals and they're becoming politicians, and then they write their commentary on Bhagavad Gita. It's very popular. The prime minister or great leader, politician, he makes his comments on Bhagavad Gita. But Prabhupada said, but you're a politician. What do you know about Bhagavad Gita? Like that, Raj Ram. Gandhi wanted to make India like Raj Ram, like the Ayodhya, like the kingdom of Ram. So that's what was stated before. They want the kingdom of God, but they don't want God. But they want the kingdom of God. But how can you be happy without God? You have to be God-centered like that, not that Krishna... Prabhupada was saying Aurobindo. They were saying that Aurobindo is greater than Krishna. Like that. I said, what is this nonsense? It's not the Krishna you surrender to actually, but it's the unborn. It's the unborn supreme within Krishna. So in this way, they're seeing Krishna from their own limited perspective. What is it? Christ meditated, he became God. Krishna meditated, he became God. So, Buddha meditated, he became God. So they have the misconceptions about what Bhagavan is, and misconceptions about the impersonalist Brahman. Or they have Dara Narayan, poor Narayan. They said, but Narayan's not poor. What is this nonsense? And then a poor man. So the poor man, he's Narayan. Right? That doesn't make sense because Narayan, he's the most richest. He possesses all of the wealth within all the material and spiritual worlds. So you can't even estimate. So how is it now he's a poor man? What is this nonsense? This poor man. Oh, poor Narayan. Right? Okay, feed the poor Narayan. So he's saying this is some nonsense like that. So don't take any cheap imitations like that. So yeah, Prabhupada was saying don't take any post-dated checks. Is that we can't do it now, but we'll be able to do it in the future. We'll make man live forever. We'll have the cure for all disease. But it really seems like it's really pretty much like some sort of a weaponized plot, really. In the name of trying to cure all disease, they're really pretty much creating diseases to kill off the world's population. Or they're saying some atom bomb. It's the weapon to end all wars, all right. Yes, there won't be anybody else around to have a war. This thermonuclear war breaks out. So the United States has more than 6,000 nuclear weapons, and Russia's got just a little over like 7,000 nuclear weapons, and then whatever China's got, and then India and whoever's. So that's the thing. Prabhupada was saying in the Vedic age, there was the Brahmastra weapon. And they had the science where they it's so science that the Brahmastra, the atomic weapon, can go to an exact spot or a certain person or just an area. It's very specialized. And then it's counteracted, right? But he said that we don't have that technology now to counteract the modern nuclear bomb. He said that the Nazis, they had developed a nuclear bomb. They had used hydrogen bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They're what was called a hydrogen thermal weapon. So he said the Nazis, they didn't use it because they knew how destructive it was and just exactly what the aftermath is, what the fallout and the radiation, how dangerous and life-threatening it actually be. They had some stuff in Fukushima that was kind of strange. It was a sunflower seed, a flower, big giant sunflower, but it had the swirling, like colored seeds, like on the outsides of the stems that were all kind of, because the sunflower seeds, they go in these spirals. It's something that's repetitive in nature. They have like a mathematical explanation for it. The specific radiuses of the curves and the arcs and how they all seem to, because there's spaces between each of the seeds, right? So, whatever rows and lines that they can be in this line and row and they can be in that line and row too, right? So it's concentric. So it had all the concentric seeds like all around the stems and around the outside of it. There were specific mutations that were taking place. Some of the things that were unnatural. The people, they couldn't actually eat any of the fruit and vegetables that grew in this area because it was contaminated. But that's where the macrobiotic diet comes from. The first time I've heard it was in Srila Prabhupada Lila Amrita, how the first devotees who were approaching Srila Prabhupada were going to something, I think it was called Harold's Cafe, and they were specialized in the macrobiotic diet. But the macrobiotic diet was developed in Japan just after World War II, after they dropped the hydrogen bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So it was a way to try to survive in with radiation, the presence of radiation. Jai Gora Nitai Ki Jai. So they had a kind of a specific science to I understand if the tomatoes are raw or if they're cooked and then become acidic so there's some sort of a balance between some of this where, what they had. I think they're using more kelp and seaweed. And so basically really what we've been discussing here lately is hearing about the glories of the Lord. So that's the whole purpose of the Sages of the Rama Saranya assembling again to hear, to perform sacrifice. And they agreed that the best sacrifice is to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And they state that they never tired to hear such transcendental topics which are gracious and magnanimous, to hear the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is there who would not want to hear this message? That's just simply hellish like that. So that's the charming beauty of the Krishna consciousness movement. It's just by hearing and thinking about Krishna and his activities, chanting Krishna's name, like that we're on the transcendental platform. And we're becoming purified, and it's purifying our hearts. So that's the transcendental nature of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's confidential that only the devotees can actually experience that because you have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam in a spirit of devotion. You study Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam in that matter. Prabhupada states that in the introduction, is that it's to be studied in a spirit of devotion. Otherwise you won't actually really properly understand it. It's not the goal to become, to become Krishna, to become one with Krishna, like that. So, is there any questions or comments or any points of discussion? Okay, so, you have a question there? Maharaj, want to make a statement? What other participants? Okay.
Bhakti Mercedes says, I feel like a wall has been placed over my heart and it won't come down.
Yeah, chant Hare Krishna. Where your heart becomes soft and it melts in love of Godhead. In the beginning, it might be the Iron Age of Kali, where we can remove these barriers very simply and easily just by the simple, easy process of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, basically, Prabhupada says, Krishna wants your devotional love. So, yeah, open up your heart and feel love for Krishna. Think of your favorite picture of Krishna within your heart and open up your devotional love for Krishna. And concentrate on the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra like that. Think about your favorite story in Krishna consciousness. Krishna is speaking, and he's telling Rukmini, he says, you should have married Shishupal. I'm just a pauper. And Rukmini, she didn't exactly understand what Krishna was saying. She thought Krishna was asking her for a divorce, and she actually became petrified and lost her consciousness and fell on the floor dead, practically. And so Krishna, he's speaking to Rukmini, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to speak with such hard words. But the description is given there in Dwarka, how the big giant canopies on the wall are like 20 feet high, and the incense are just pouring out of the windows in Dwarka. And how there was the bedstead where Krishna was laying and Rukmini was fanning Krishna. And there was jewels that reflecting the light everywhere. It was very, very opulent, like that. So there's nectarine things to hear about Krishna and Krishna consciousness. So we just kind of open up our hearts to that, expand our minds. They're talking about how we expand our minds, so far that we can understand how the material universe since time immemorial has been coming in the manifestation and unmanifestation repeatedly since time immemorial, actually eternity. But so we can understand this manifestation and unmanifestation for like ever and ever and ever and ever. And Krishna lives for, Brahma lives for 3,400,000,000,000 years. So for each manifestation of a duration of a universe,